easy to write one dimension, you know, one page. I mean, particularly when you're working within genres, it feels like the genre gets to fill in so many different aspects of the character that then the screenwriter stops asking the same questions of the individual characters. So what makes it interesting is when someone is not only able to show a strong, sort of kick-ass woman, but also there's a sensitivity there, and there's, you know, the enigma of what it is to be a woman, and also for male roles. I mean, I hate seeing someone just, you know, the one-liners, the action one-liners the entire film, and there's no break, there's no subtlety, there's no strangeness, you know. And so I think a good screenwriter realizes that no matter the genre that they're working in, they still have to ask the same questions of every character.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, what bothers me is when you're playing a strong female character and you're expected to play it in a masculine way, or you're expected to be a tomboy, or expected to be into things that are quote-unquote masculine, or, you know. And I think that you should be able to be a woman and have feminine sensibilities and qualities and still be strong enough to kick a guy's ass, you know? Like, it shouldn't matter.
I think that also with film and TV, it's just, you have to also remember that it's sort of one perspective of, you know, this view on women. And I think sometimes Hollywood can kind of create this sort of hegemonic view on women. And we have to remember to not let everything that we see in film and TV and any other medium, or even just from other people, we can't let that dictate how we feel and how we view women ourselves. It should be something that comes from within. And I think that, you know, we should use these tools as a way to open our perspectives and to inspire us, as opposed to telling us how we should see them.
In terms of how you're seen, what is the reaction that you guys have received from female fans, especially young ones? Do you feel like role models? Do you want to be role models, or is that too much pressure? Your actresses playing parts, are you expected to be role models?
Well, I mean, if you think about the word role model, right? I mean, you can kind of imagine it as like some form of a jello mold, you know? And like, yes, we are able to give infinite things within film. There's an infinite shelf life. So, you know, each character is its own form of a jello mold, you know, and that different women can sort of pour themselves into it, and out comes a new mold. But I don't ever find that those molds have to sort of stay true to your own life. I feel like you have to live your life first, and the roles that you want to participate in and, you know, create within, those become the sort of molds that need to be carried on from future generations. And I never really feel any, you know, weight of, you know, being a role model or wanting to be a role model, because I feel like film is so infinite. You know, it speaks for itself, and it will always speak for itself.
That's interesting, because sometimes, that's true, you do need to live your life first, but sometimes the characters that you play then go on to influence you a lot more than, and that's the nice thing too. If you can garner something from a woman that you're playing that you don't necessarily have completely, and then you take that little piece of that part with you and you slowly, you know, keep collecting it.
Are there any characteristics of your character of Olivia, Anna, that you wish you could that you were more like, or that you have taken with you?
Oh, heaps. I mean, like, I've been looking at her because I'm playing this other character a little bit too, and trying to sort of find the differences between them both. And oh, I don't know. There's lots. I mean, she's so tough and she's strong and she's so damn earnest about everything. But I wish I could take a little bit of the weight of the world off her shoulders too. I don't know. Oh, yeah. I don't even know if I should say that.
What about you guys? Are there some of the characteristics of your characters that you're currently playing or have just recently played that you would love to hold on to?
Say that again?
Some characteristics of the characters that you're currently playing, or that you just played in Sucker Punch, that you would have liked to hold on to in your own life?
I mean, the ability to have a full artillery of weapons to wield at any time. I mean, that's an amazing thing. 45 cal, come on, let's go. Shooting range.
You know, the joy of writing, the joy of being a character is that you always can think of something to say. Which means, you know, it's wonderful because that smart retort, that way of comeback, that pithy kind of one-liner, those things come out because it's not your brain that produced it.
And that, for me, I'd love to take that away. I mean, I would love to have someone, you know, make a smart ass remark, and for me to say something perfect, like someone just feeds it to me, and I'm like, yeah, that's right. You know, that'd be lovely. So yeah, all of that would be great.
The writers are here.
And the soundtrack, I've always wanted that too.
I think from my role, I think what's cool about Knives Chow is that she has this sort of genuine love of life, and she's so honest with herself. And I think what sets her apart too is that she's not afraid to be herself. You know, her feelings are very uninhibited and unconstrained, and she's not afraid to feel the way that she feels openly and honestly. And I think that's something I would like to take.
Ramona, for me, is probably the opposite of me in almost every way. So I think she's extremely guarded and doesn't feel like she has to be anything for anyone else, and kind of, and it's somewhat of a flaw, at least in her perception. But for me, if I could take a little bit of that, it would probably help offset my like apologetic, too sweet kind of personality that I tend to give out there. So part of me is like, oh, it'd be so nice to just like not. Just live your life and not care what anybody thinks. You know, she definitely has that quality.
Now, Mary, you've been called the Scream Queen, and you've starred in a number of horror movies, but you also worked with Quentin Tarantino, and now taking on this role, Scott Pilgrim. I'm just wondering how your career has changed over time and how you've related to these roles over time. I mean, I'm sure working with Quentin was a life-changing experience.
It was totally life-changing. It was actually, for me, it was life-changing in even the way that I saw myself, because the fact that he thought I was good enough to be in one of his movies was like shocking to me, and it made me realize that I could actually maybe be something great in this industry, and that maybe I could have the confidence to be like, oh, I'm not just going to be like a, you know, a big player in movies here and there, but maybe I could do something interesting and make a difference.
And how he did Death Proof, and how those characters in that short film were so great and so strong, and I just bet his relationship to women on the set was probably really interesting.
It was. I mean, he was so passionate about all of us, and he had so much admiration for us. And he would sit down with me and talk to me for an hour about how much he loved my performance in one scene, you know, and he would just go through every little detail and be like, who did that? And when you said the line that way, and it was just, he's so kind of enthralled by actors, and I think specifically actresses, and kind of fascinated by them. And it was amazing to be around that.
Now, Jena, your character in Sucker Punch is probably the most mysterious to us. Can you tell us a little bit about who you're playing and what it was like being on the set and what kind of physical training you went through and all that?
Well, when we were talking about auditioning before, what I found so strange is that they never auditioned me physically.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean? Like, I was always a little worried. I mean, what if I had flat feet, or, you know, what if I couldn't, you know, perform under pressure? Or, you know, my heartbeat could only go so fast before I just sort of killed over. But I remember after I got the job, we did an evaluation, they called it, like a physical evaluation, and they put me through hell.
Oh, really?
And then, you know, and then you just realize that's what the game, that's the name of the game, and you just got to go there, you know, and it's incredibly empowering as a woman to have so many strong men around you that are saying, you know, I believe in you, you can do this, you know, you can basically annihilate 100 men within 10 minutes, and you know, you could do it amazingly. Yeah, I play Rocket, and it's kind of a surrealistic action film by Zack Snyder. I don't know if you're familiar with his work, but it's his original piece. He wrote it, and I think it's a bit of his love child, so I think people are going to be really excited. It's about 5 girls in a mental sort of institution, and it operates on 3 different realities. So the surrealistic action is not just a pretty summary. I think it's the best way that I could tell you what it's about.
And what kind of physical training did you go through for it?
I don't know about you guys, but I mean, we did 3.5 months with Navy SEALs and an artillery.